let me begin with a common question for all our panelists. Infrastructure projects are becoming larger, more complex, and more schedule driven than ever before. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing access equipment today, and how should the industry respond to it? Maybe we can start with Mr. Mark.
So I think that congestion is going to be one of the biggest challenges for, particularly in India, for access. As population increases, as new centers of population increase, then it's going to make access to site, for example, more difficult. And then access to the work area becomes increasingly problematic in different buildings. So congestion, I think, is going to be something that's going to be a feature of access in the future. And if I can maybe add to that, I think that concerns about the environment, that's going to become more of an issue. How we're transporting things, the area for laydown, etc. These, I think, are only going to become more and more difficult as time goes on.
Thank you, Mr. Mark, for sharing that insights. Mr. Gokhale, can we have your take on this?
From our point of view, we are into industrial construction, the commercial construction, erection of windmills and all. There, the heights are going up and up, So, getting a person to that level safely is going to be a major challenge in the future. Plus, this one of the biggest problem in India is training of operators. We can buy the machines, we can put the money and import the machines, but who will run the machines properly? So one is obviously operator training and how to select the right machine for the required job. And again, as I told in my presentation, how to keep the machine doing what it is designed to do and preventing accidents and mishaps on the site and using safety systems to make the machine to do the work what is designed to do.
Mr. Mark, you were talking about web system, and one of the key strength you highlighted was enabling maintenance without major disruption of traffic or ongoing operation. So, what engineering innovation have made this possible, and what lessons can India's bridge and metro authorities learn from global projects?
Yeah, so the innovation that has made that possible from our point of view is the development of that hook and clasp mechanism that I was showing you. So that has allowed the deck to be used in a completely different way from traditional scaffolding. So it's a completely new approach. The best way to look at it is to say that we've turned things on their head. So traditionally, there has been an acceptance over, certainly over 100 years, that the best way of obtaining access has been to use scaffolding. Now, traditionally, that may have used bamboo scaffolding before mild steel scaffolding came on the scene. So there has been an evolution in the approach to access, and we don't see our solution as being a direct competitor with scaffolding. We see it as being a tool for a niche area. You will always require different solutions for different places. And scaffolding's been around for a long time. It still has a future. But there are certain areas where if you were to define a matrix, then the web deck would suit particular situations. So if I give you an example that was shared with me by a customer, they carried out their own matrix of use, and they said, okay, above a certain height, it makes sense to use web deck, even though we have a lot of scaffolding. It just doesn't make sense to keep building and building and building when you can have one layer of scaffolding, one layer of web deck, whatever height you want to go. Then they also said that in another situation, they may be able to access it quite easily using scaffolding, but it would involve closing a road. So in that situation, again, it would be useful for using web. Whereas in other situations where obstructions are not an issue, then yeah, fine. Scaffolding would be the right approach to take. So I think that we're moving into a time where there's going to be a blended solution. And I was very interested actually to hear what Mr. Nitin was saying about retrofitting smart solutions to old technologies. So maybe we should be talking, how do you, for example, in the future, it may be that I'm just talking off the top of my head here, but how do we make our system even smarter? Do we include load cells built in with some telemetry that allows someone to access? We haven't thought of any of that stuff. So I think that collaboration between people is very, very important because we don't have all the answers. We have some of them. And I'm sure that by talking to professionals working in the sector, we might be able to come up with even better solutions that are going to make people safer and help to carry out work more efficiently.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Mark. I will be in touch with you. Don't worry, because load cells is one thing which we play with every day. So obviously, as your presentation first was very good, I saw that is a really innovative product. But we can also add a safety layer to your product so that even if by mistake, no part of the deck should be overloaded.
That's the point. That really is the point.
Yeah.
And it's not for us to know that because our partners install the system, and then from the customer's point of view, they have the real-time responsibility, particularly if they're doing concrete repairs, example, and they may be building up debris on the system.
Sure.
They have to make sure that it doesn't exceed that 300 kilograms per square meter.
Correct.
How does that get done automatically? So I think what's happening at the moment is that there's a convergence of new things. AI has only been a recent innovation, probably within the last 18 months. People getting to understand what its capabilities are, and robotics is another thing that perhaps needs to be looked at in the future.
Thank you, sir. I have one more question for you on web deck. Modern bridge and infrastructure assets often have highly irregular geometries, curved grades, and difficult access conditions. How has web deck evolved to accommodate these complex structures while maintaining structural stability and worker safety?
Okay, so the first thing to say is that our original solution was designed around the catenary wire system. Now that relied on uninterrupted spans where you could run the cables. However, that's not always possible. So to begin with, in those situations, infill panels, for example, to take a return or a difficult angle, they were created using things like GRP gratings, etc., cut to size to make infill panels. And then these were used with pickup chains, etc. So there were ad hoc ways of addressing that, but they weren't systematic and capable of repetition. As a result of that, our engineers then looked at designing the mega truss system. So as you could see in the other photographs, the truss system does not rely on these end anchors in the same way as the catenary wire system. So that is how we've managed to get around very difficult access situations. And the thing that I would add to that is that it's very necessary to remember that some access requires work in confined spaces. So having the deck specifically at that width of 600 millimeters and having a light weight of 20 kilograms per square meter, that means that manhandling can be done safely and quickly. So that's the way we've addressed those situations.
Thank you for that explanation, sir. My next question is to Mr. Gokhale. How is
Yeah.
digital intelligence transforming cranes and aerial work platform beyond traditional lifting applications?
See, the cranes what are available or the machines what are available in India right now are, maybe 10 years, at times 20 years, or maybe even 30 years old. That time they were all the crane machine over designed because obviously the market was like that. The same crane, which was in the late 90s, the crane was, let us say, 200 tons. Now same crane is marked as 300 ton capacity. The same, everything is same, but with better high tensile steel. So nowadays, the error margin of error is very less. It is very easy to topple a crane nowadays, or maybe even they are designed very optimally, because obviously the selling price and the competition says that, okay, I have a 250-ton crane. The same crane can be termed as a 270-ton crane. So there is technologies, squeezing a lot of technical aspects of the machine. If we have good sensors, placed at proper locations on the crane, if we have good safety systems, if we have good vision systems, and obviously the first thing is operator, if it is sufficiently trained on using the machine as well as the safety system. So what all we manufacture is just a tool in the hand of operator, So if you're not using the tool, any amount of good tool will be wasted, on a unlearned operator. So giving safety systems for the crane is an operator aid. The operator gets more comfortable, more confident about using the machine. And I myself have sat on a what you call rode a machine which took me 120 feet high. That time you really come to know what safety is and why it is so important, because there's nothing below you, only a basket which is holding you from falling down to the ground. So all the sensors which are put in the machine, all the telematics what is put in the machine, and obviously the network, the digital layer which pushes the data onto the top, all is important because they will eventually increase the safety of the machine, which is adding value to your bottom line at the end of the year.
Thank you, sir. And regarding the rental companies, they are increasingly invest in smart equipment. So, how do intelligent machines improve business performance?
There I would like to differ. Rental company are investing in whatever machines they are getting. Okay, so mostly machines in the rental fleet, as it is, I'm talking rental companies buy mostly used machines because the rental rates are not improving. So if the rental machines, whatever machines they get is decent in condition, so if you really make them intelligent, for example, if I say that I have, let us say, 5 machines on a site, on a tower crane, 5 tower cranes on one side, and I put some intelligent systems on that. So the manufacturer suggests that you do the preventive maintenance on hour meter reading. Okay, so after 200 hours of operation, you do this, you do that. So normally, invariably at sites, one of the machine is underused, one is overused. How do you come to know that the machine is utilized at what capacities? Suppose one crane is lifting only up to 80% of its capacity. So 80% of the capacity, if the crane is loaded, it is, for us it is heavy lift. Even if it is few tons, then still is a heavy lift for us. And if the one crane is working only at 10% of the capacity, so even if the 10% capacity works more, the other crane should be taken into preventive maintenance earlier. So we can come to know this only if we monitor the data properly and do some proper analysis of this. See, collecting data is just like having a CCTV camera installed. So normally CCTV footage is required only when something goes wrong. So that should not be the case by making the machines intelligent. This data should be monitored properly, and with AI coming in, that can do it for us. You can really plug into the data bank and find out the outliers, what is happening. There's some peak in the pressure or some increase of the load. So that can already we chart the operating habits also for our customers. So one operator is continuously hitting the limit switches on the tower cranes. So obviously he is a reckless operator. So he is bound to be given some kind of proper training on that. So measuring utilization of the machine, what kind of load it is lifting, what are the operating habits on that, is he operating recklessly? So these are already available for the cars and trucks, right? The fleet management system, they have an onboard OBD port on every machine or every truck that is manufactured worldwide. They have a OBD, and the manager is supposed to give data available to the customer. We just put a device there, pull the data and send to the cloud. But on these machines, there is no such regulation, So we have to extract the data from the machine by sensorizing it at right places. So that technical layer, we put on the machines. So it is still early because the rental companies are so strapped on the cash flow, they don't want to put anything extra. So it is actually unfortunate. Even the manufacturers, at times I have heard that the SLI, the safe road indicator, is optional, and if you want it, that is not measured as not sold as a standard device, and in many cranes. So in that case, being cash strapped economy, we need to find a golden mean between how much to digitize and what exactly data to extract. Some companies are very serious, they want every data coming to their office, but obviously they are huge companies, conglomerates, they really want to work on data. L&T being one of those, so
Yeah.
they're really keen on getting everything under their control. So anything which gives measured is obviously improved. So collecting data is the first step in that.
Thank you, Mr. Gokhale, for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mark, underdeck access systems are gaining attention globally. Where do you see their greatest opportunities in India's infrastructure sector?
So I think the fast development, for example, of airports, data centers, for example, these are new areas. Another area for us that is relatively new is the creation of sports stadia. So long as the trajectory for construction continues in India, then I can see vast opportunities for web. The other thing, unfortunately, from the point of view of the society, but necessary from the point of view of web, is that you have a lot of bridges that require inspection and repair or maintenance. And there are huge numbers of them, railway bridges, highway bridges, etc. So for as long as you have these assets and they're only going to become older, then these are areas where a lightweight, uniform, engineered platform is required. One thing that I should mention is that every web deck installation is accompanied by full engineering calculations. So we work in conjunction with end user organizations so that they get something that is very safe to be installed and extremely safe for the people working from it.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Mr. Nitin, how do you
Yeah.
see automation and remote inspection technologies changing work at height operation over the next decade?
What I see is, so many data centers are coming up in India. So obviously more and more people would like to have a piece of that. And so data collection will be, I think manufacturer will start giving. Already JCB has one, what they call a live link something. So that connects their machine to the cloud. So other manufacturers also start doing this. They'll make the machine smarter, and a smarter machine will obviously last long. So the average life of the machine would go up. Any company. So right now, the rental market in India is so flooded with so many players. So they are the player who are having 5 machines, player who are having 500 machines. So it is everywhere. I don't see this 5 population machine player adapt to this digital change. But obviously, as a sizable company who really wants to grow the fleet of the machines, will have to go for collecting data. And fortunately or unfortunately, the operator is one part where all the data is generated. So see, any data collection, if data collection is effective, then you can have some really intelligent decisions made on the data. So operator is a place where the data is getting generated. So if we log the data then and there itself with the help of operator, then we'll have really valid data in time. And with the net connectivity, almost it is it is seamless across the country. We don't have any what you call areas where the net is not available, but then the machines are smarter, so they capture the data, they store it. Whenever the machine goes into a internet connected area, it just pushes the data to the cloud.
Yeah.
So maybe we have a latency of few hours or few days, but yes, eventually there is an application for every kind of machine to have some kind of sensor in the machine which collect the data. Maybe a hydraulic, maybe a pneumatic, maybe electrical is obviously the simplest part of it. Hydraulic machine are a bit tricky because then you have to understand the hydraulics and where exactly to put sensors and what kind of sensors are installed. Then fuel monitoring is one of the biggest pain area which still we are not addressing because for obvious reasons, that it is very difficult. Monitoring fuel usage in cranes is very difficult, and that is one of the biggest cost for any industry who is renting cranes or big machines, because they are diesel guzzlers. So monitoring that fuel consumption is also very important. So there is a lot of scope, and there are a lot of people would be required, a lot of companies required who really work on that. And the disadvantage of this is, even if it design the system in the factory or in the workshop or electronic small unit, it has to be tested on the field. So then,
sure.
go to the site, do the installation, and then even if our engineers go to the site, they face a problem because it is not on the priority. So then we have to pull the machine out from the working for 2-3 hours, and then do the installation, then do the validation, then train the operator. But yes, it is slow, but we are making steady progress on that.
Thank you, sir. As we conclude today's session, I would like to ask our panelists one final question. What is the biggest misconception the construction industry still has about access equipment, and how should that mindset change? Mr. Mark,
So,
would you like? Yeah.
yeah, if I pick on that, the first thing I think is when it comes to cost, okay, there's a big misconception when you're comparing modern access methods, not just web deck, but when customers are looking at cost, particularly in India, we're finding that initially absolutely everything has to be done rock bottom as cheaply as the job can be done. And the problem with that is that it doesn't factor in the overall project life cycle costs. Okay. So when someone is doing a comparison, I feel that education is required so that the comparison is made on a quality and cost comparison, not just on a cost comparison, because this is where, unfortunately, this is where accidents will occur. If the cheapest method of access is the only method that has to be considered, then that is, to my mind, it's an approach that has weaknesses. What I would like to see is more education of the people who are specifying access methods. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is that access needs to be seen as part of the design and not an afterthought. So it has to be planned. And also, if you're doing that at the construction phase rather than the maintenance phase, then you can build in future-proofing access by, for example, having the temporary anchors made permanent so that the temporary system might not be there, but when you need maintenance, it's much easier to put the system back if it's been planned at the design stage. So to answer your question directly, Mahesh, when you were asking about misconception, mine is on the misconception of what constitutes best value for money. Okay. It has to be seen in terms of the overall the overall project completion times and the safety of the people. All of these things have to be factored in when you're looking at it. So that would be my take on that.
Excellent perspective, sir. Mr. Mr. Nitin, you want to add something to this?
Yes, one more misconception that is easily getting washed away is India is a maybe what 1 point how many billion people, and we'll get enough manpower to work on project sites. But with due respect to all the states, we are seeing that a lot of manpower is, people are always facing manpower issues on site. People are not ready to work unsafe. They don't want to climb the bamboo scaffoldings, so they really want mechanization of everything. And it is days are coming when this construction industry was actually, I think, the biggest employer after Indian Railways, I think, in India. Nowadays this is not going to happen. People are normally getting jobs within their state, within their cities very easily, and otherwise the people who are not having jobs, they are getting aware that this is unsafe practice. So getting easy manpower is going to be a thing of past very soon. Whatever manpower we get, we have to maintain them in a safe condition, and for that, mechanization and good mechanization should be the call of the day.
Okay.
That's what is my take on this misconception. Yeah.
Thank you.